During my years working as a Senate staffer up in Washington, D.C., I rode the metro station to work every day and got off at Union Station. And then I followed a brick path leading up to the Capitol. Along that brick pathway was a homeless woman, and she was known to everyone who worked on Capitol Hill who took that same route. She was known as the Tiger Woman. Let me explain. So, bands of cloth were wrapped around her head. She wore black horn-rimmed glasses with little jewels on the side, like the kind you used to see in the 1960s. But here's why she was called the Tiger Lady. She painted her face with orange, black, and white stripes, making herself look like a tiger. She didn't want food. One time I tried to give her some food, and she growled at me and went, "Rah!" like that. Literally, all she wanted was money to buy more makeup so that she could put tiger stripes. I mean, it was bizarre. Made no sense. But here's the thing. She was a fixture of the community. It was routine. And if you worked on Capitol Hill and took that route, this is what you would do. You'd get off the train, you would order your Starbucks, and then you would nod to the Tiger Lady, maybe give her some change or not, and then you knew your day would be ordered because that was the first line of pattern. But then one day, the Tiger Lady wasn't there. She was gone. Nobody knew why. Maybe something tragic had happened. Maybe she had moved. Or, this is what I hope happened, maybe that she received the treatment needed and was healed. To this day, I don't know. But here's what I do realize is that looking back after all those years, what we were most bothered by was her absence. And the reason why we were bothered by her absence was because our routine was disrupted. Her dysfunctional and troubling presence was part of our community norm. Let me say that again. Her dysfunctional and troubling presence was part of our community norm. I didn't even think about, maybe she got healed. I was like, wait a minute, Tiger Lady's not here. I don't like that. But I hadn't thought about her in decades until after reading the Gospel of Luke. And it just kind of hit me over the head. It's a strange story, the Gospel of Luke. Jesus gets off a boat, and he's approached by a raving, homeless madman who doesn't wear clothes and lives among the dead in a graveyard. Not only that, he is possessed by demons. But here's the thing. He approaches Jesus. To me, that indicates that something inside of him wanted to be healed. Jesus takes over. He confronts the demons, ultimately casting them into a herd of swine. And once exorcised, the man is healed, clothed, and in his right mind, and he sits at the foot of Jesus. But in my mind, this is where the story gets really weird and disturbing. Because the people arrive, when they find the man healed, they don't celebrate. They're confused. Rather than rejoicing that they no longer have a sick and troubled person, and they no longer have to chain that person up, afflicted by demons no less, and living in a graveyard, they're afraid and they're more disturbed by the fact that he is healed. They don't know how to handle this. I find that really strange, don't you? Why are the people bothered by his healing? And then it hit me. Well, my guess is that it's not very different from my own D.C. community years ago with the Tiger Lady. We were disturbed when she wasn't there because we all, that community long ago and our community, we got used to a level of dysfunction. It was normal. I mean, think of the absurdity of it all. For the community in Luke's gospel, having a naked man living among the tombs was fine. In the same way, for us, having a homeless woman with a painted face who snarled at people was fine also. And when a change occurred, it became disruptive to both communities. That's what Jesus does, though. Jesus disrupts things. And in Luke's gospel, the man wanted to be healed, which is why he approaches Jesus in the first place. But to be healed, there was a letting go of demons. The question for me is, did the community let go of their demons? Did the community want to be healed in the same way that man wanted to be healed? What I do know is that he did want to be healed. He took that first step. He approached Jesus. He had to let something go in order to grow. It's not just a theological truth, it's also a practical truth. Listen, I have lived most of my life interacting with loved ones who have suffered from mental illness and addiction, as I'm sure many of you have. The road to recovery begins, first and foremost, with a desire to be healed. You have to want to be healed before you can begin to take the first step. And it requires a letting go. That may mean entering treatment. And let me be clear, healing rarely ever happens overnight. More often, it's a difficult, treacherous, long road that often takes years. What I am saying is that the journey of healing begins with the desire to be healed and the desire to let something go. Don't take my word for it. Alcoholics Anonymous affirms this. The first step in a 12-step process is about admitting one's powerlessness, letting go, and the need for healing. The man in Luke's gospel approaches Jesus. He is acknowledging his own powerlessness. He opens himself up for healing, and he lets something go. In this case, he lets the demons go. So must we. Let it go and watch us grow. I know it's summertime, but that's our theme for Ascension this year. That's our Rally Day theme, stewardship theme, and our debt relief theme. But let me be clear, this theme is not just about raising funds or some kind of clever programming template. It's a challenge. It's a challenge for all of us, both on a corporate and on an individual level. The challenge is to examine our lives, to figure out what it is we hold on to that prevents us from growing. What demons do we cling to? And more importantly, what dysfunctional aspects of our own lives have become so routine that it's normal? Just like that community in Luke's gospel or my own DC community in the 21st century. This is challenging. I don't claim to know the answer, but here's what I will tell you. I personally am going to start the process of figuring out what I need to do in my own life, what kind of healing that I need to ask Jesus for so that growth can occur. I invite you to do the same, both on a personal level and for all of us as a church to do the same. And listen, this invitation is not just for those who have spent decades here at Ascension and who are sort of the old guard. It's true for everyone, whether this is your first time visiting or your 500th time visiting. The process of letting something go so that growth can occur, that's universal. And honestly, it's what we're called to be as Christians. Not to become, quote, better people or a, quote, better church, but rather to live more into our authentic selves which is really about reflecting the image of God. When the man in this gospel is healed, I don't think he becomes better. He becomes more real of who God created him to be. And I think that's what healing is all about. So let's do it. Let's do this together. Let's figure out what we all need to let go, both as individuals and as a church. Together, let us grow by letting go so that we can better reflect who Christ is in our own lives, in our church, and in the world. Let it go and watch us grow. Amen.